So why are the quotes that you're getting from other window companies all over the place? One company says one number, another company says something different, and it immediately creates distrust. So let's break this down simply. Impact window pricing, it shouldn't be random. It's driven by very specific factors. And once you understand those factors, the quote starts to make a lot more sense. The first thing that drives price is the type of impact window. So single hungs are typically the most affordable, horizontal rollers are usually a little bit more expensive, and casement windows are often the most expensive. Why is that? Because operable complexity matters. The more parts that a window has, the more engineering, hardware, reinforcement it requires to meet hurricane testing standards. So the second thing that's going to drive up your price is the size. So with impact windows, the larger openings are going to require stronger frames. So these higher design pressure ratings that we're going to need for larger openings are going to require more enforcement. So that's going to escalate the cost quickly. So when you compare a small bathroom window compared to a large living room picture window, the prices are not going to be in the same category. The third factor is the design pressure rating, which I mentioned earlier, which is often referred to as a DP. This is one of the biggest pricing variables that homeowners never really hear about. So higher DP ratings mean that the window can withstand more force. Higher force requires stronger frames. Stronger frames will typically cost more to manufacture, and homes in Miami-Dade often require DPs that are higher than homes that are further inland. So two homes with the same number of windows can have a very different pricing based purely on location and your exposure. And the fourth factor is frame material. So aluminum frames tend to be stronger, but they can typically be a little bit more expensive depending on the opening. Vinyl can sometimes be more affordable, but they often require a thicker profile to meet the same design pressure ratings. So hybrid systems fall somewhere in between, but there's not so many of those available in South Florida currently. Your fifth factor is going to be your glass package, and not all impact glass is the same. So you have insulated glass that's going to cost more than non-insulated. You have tinted glass that's going to cost more than clear glass. You have low E coatings that are going to be typically more expensive, but they also add benefits such as energy efficiency, UV protection, interior comfort, and the reduction of condensation on your windows in the morning. I regret not doing that at my house. And your sixth factor is going to be insulation complexity. So this one matters a lot more than people realize, having a concrete block home versus wood framed home. So masonry openings are typically easier to work with. You don't have as many steps on the back end. And at the end of the day, each condition requires a different insulation approach. Sometimes you have more labor, you have more materials, more time, and that can affect pricing. Also, skilled trades. We have some guys that are trained very well in masonry, some guys that do a lot better in wood framed or framed houses, and depending on that cost, there's going to be some different pricing there. The seventh factor is code compliance and approvals. So windows with Miami-Dade NOAs or Florida product approval numbers, they're typically going to cost more. They cost more to develop, they cost more to test, and they cost more to certify. But that cost gets baked into the product. Cheaper windows often skip full testing or only meet the minimum requirements. I usually compare this to a minivan. When you have a new family who has a new baby they want to protect, are they going to buy the minivan that has the lowest safety ratings that just meets the bare minimum, or do you want a vehicle that goes above and that has been proven to do better in accidents? I think the same thoughts should go towards your impact windows. And really that difference shows up during storms. And the eighth factor is labor quality. Experienced, good installers that care, that respect your home, they're gonna cost more. Having a license, it's gonna cost more. Teams that slow down and do the right thing versus rushing the job are typically going to cost more. It takes more time to get it right. And that's because impact windows are safety systems, not decorations. They're pretty, they make your house look nice, but at the end of the day, we can't forget what the original intention is and why we are installing them in the first place. So when you put all this together, pricing starts to make sense. Most full home impact window projects usually land anywhere between $15,000 and $45,000, depending on how many windows, the size of the home. There's a lot of variables that apply. And if someone is dramatically lower than that range, something's usually missing, either in the product or the installation or both. So I made a video the other day where I was talking about a homeowner and their experience with other companies compared to us. A lot of the other companies were just listing the manufacturer, which is like, hey, we're going to give you a Mercedes. Okay, are you giving me the lowest entry model Mercedes, or are you giving me the AMG package or Maserati? It wasn't spelled out, and that should immediately build distrust in a company if they're not at least specifying what product specifically they're planning on using on your home. And at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that every higher quote is better, and it doesn't mean every lower quote is bad. It means that you just need to understand what you're actually comparing. So at the end of the day, pricing alone will not give you the full story, but understanding some of the variables will. And that's how a lot of smart homeowners evaluate their window quotes. If you have any questions, we're here. We're happy to help. Bigfoot Windows and Roofing, building trust, one door, one window, one roof at a time.